What's up, guys? I'm back again with part 4 of True Ghost Horror Stories. And like always, I would say if you want to send a personal true story of yours, you can send it through email given in the description. Let's get started. I want to tell everyone that the house we are living in is haunted. My family bought the house on urgent basis on cheap prices. It was good and fine for our family. But in 2008 when we shifted to our new house, I used to sleep alone in my room without any lights. Only street lights outside made a little light for me in my room, which was enough for me. In middle of the night, around 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., I got out of my room towards washroom. When I came back suddenly fan went off. I thought it would be a dimmer problem. I made the fan dimmer fixed, but it worked slowly. It wasn't a problem for me as the season was cold. After all that, when I lie down to my bed while wearing my blanket, I saw a shadow of a woman on my room window. It was moving her face right and left with a pointed, sharp nose and hairs tied up with a hairband. I got scared and it was my first experience. I ran towards my mother's room and found a place to sleep. In morning, I told everyone about all this incidents. After all that, I never until now slept alone in room. I sleep with my brothers in a room. In January 2011, at night around between 3 a.m. or 4 a.m., I got out of my room towards washroom. The main common washroom door of my house started to bang. As my steps towards washroom were moving, the banging of door was rising and no one in my house heard that. I got scared and woke up everyone. I told them the incidents. They all said they did not heard the voice of door banging. Till now we have searched a lot of religious ghost protectors, but we couldn't able to find the true person or the powerful person who is sufficient enough to fight to make our house free of Satan ghosts. Now, after a lot of different experiences, I don't get scared. I hear voices and their whistles, but I don't get scared. They have created financial, physical, and mental problems for us, such as we are lazy, but when we get out of house, we feel active. Brain has been like soaked, no creativity, no ideas, and complete difficult life, but we hope it gets better. So this happened yesterday at 5:30 p.m. I was in my dad's room crying and there was no one in the room with me. I was walking and crying a lot. Actually, I was very worried about my brother. Now, as I'm crying, I hear a clap or a similar sound from right behind me. And when I turn, there was no one. At first, I thought it was my sister trying to distract me, but when I went to her room, she was sitting and studying. I asked her whether she came outside or not, and she said no, and neither did anyone from my mom's room. So I came back to the room to look for some logic for the sound, but nothing had fallen. Everything was in its place. If someone had come in the room, I would have heard the door open and close. When I heard the sound, I was facing the TV, so I would have seen the reflection of the person behind me. I didn't get scared by it at all. I just panicked a bit, but I was alright then. This sound actually distracted me and I forgot my sorrows for some time. This room actually belonged to my grandfather before he got paralyzed and then died in 2019. He died in the ICU. But this room belonged to him for about 11 to 12 years, so he really had an attachment with it. Furthermore, being the youngest in all the cousins and staying in the same house with him, I was his most favorite grandchild. He never loved anyone like me. There is not much evidence that it was him, but I have never had a similar experience before. I know there could be some possibility of it being a non-paranormal experience, but it helped me control my tears. I am a university student. I usually travel through the local bus. One evening I missed my bus due to my project work and I decided to call my brother so he could pick me up from my university. When I tried to call him, I realized that I had no credit to make that call. I borrowed the smartphone of my friend and dialed his number. Before I could hear any dial tune, I heard someone mumbling and crying in low voice. I got scared of what was happening and in a state of confusion, I said, "Hello." There was no reply from the other side. Then I suddenly checked if I dialed the correct number, and yes, it was my brother's number. I slowly moved the phone toward my ear, and it was the moment of shock when I heard normal dial tune on the other side. My brother didn't pick up my call, so I texted him from my friend's phone, and after a few minutes, he picked me up from university. I didn't tell anyone about it because I thought it could be a signal distortion or might be a technical problem with my friend's phone. After this incident, I enjoyed a great weekend with my family and kind of forgot about it, and on Monday I went to university again. Everything was normal and I wasn't thinking about any disturbing thing. When it was the off timing, I saw heavy rain outside, which meant I couldn't take the bus because the bus stop was 2 streets away. I knew that if I'll take the bus, I would get wet in the rain. The extreme weather was annoying me, so I decided to call my brother. I was normal and wasn't thinking about the past incident. And this time I had enough credit to call him from my own phone. I made the call, and again, before hearing any dial tune, I heard a clear and loud scream of a woman. The scream wasn't a threatening scream, like a ghost scream to scare you. It was a scream, clear, loud, and full of pain and cries. My whole body got paralyzed by fear. This time I didn't move the phone away from my ear. There was silence after that scream, and a few seconds later I heard normal dial tune coming from the phone. My hands were shaking, and meanwhile, my brother picked up my call. But I wasn't able to speak anything out of fear. He asked me what happened. Instead of answering him, I hung up the phone. I was shaking because that scream was horrible and I do not want to hear anything like that again. After a few minutes, I felt normal. So instead of calling, I simply texted him. When he arrived, I asked him if he had heard anything strange when I called him. He simply said, "No. Why are you asking?" I explained what was happened to me. He laughed and said, "It could be in your head, chill. It was nothing." I know he wanted me to forget about the incident, but I was too scared to forget anything. And the main reason was this. I used 2 different phones, and both times I called my brother, and I got 2 different responses, which gave me goosebumps.